Welcome to module 4 of this course where we will be talking about writing without writing. How to write without, how to write a book without writing yourself. And there are a couple of ways to get this done. The first lesson we'll be talking about is how to move from voice notes to book, tools and transcription workflows that you can follow through with in order to get your book. Now, why do voice notes work? You speak faster than you type, right? If you spend 30 minutes on a voice note, trust that you're going to spend a number of hours just typing that voice note out. Secondly, you get to capture your authentic tone, exactly what you're saying and exactly how you're saying it. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, you just pick up your phone and you send a voice note and you're just speaking from your heart. Yes, you get to capture that with voice notes. And thirdly, voice notes are ideal for busy professionals, busy entrepreneurs, and storytellers who are trying to, communicate that story as it's coming to their heart and they don't want to forget anything. So it's ideal for every party, to be fair. Now, here are some tools that you can use when it comes to, voice notes. You can use a voice recorder, right? Such as like the iPhone voice memo, voice recording on your Android phone, Otter.ai, Rev, Tammy. You can use, a lot of voice. You can even use like a voice recording device. Tools that you might also need when you're working with voice notes for storage and sync are Google Drive and Dropbox, just so that losing your device or getting any issue with your device or any random mistake is not going to cause you to lose it. So you probably want to store it up on your Google Drive or your Dropbox. And also you would need a transcription tool when you are going through this voice note way. Instead of writing your book yourself, you've recorded it in a voice note and you need to transcribe it. So definitely you need transcription software, right? And the first transcription software that I have here is Descript. Another one is Otter.ai. Another one is Nota. And my favorite is the Google Docs voice typing because it's not stressful. It's basically, a software that you have access to on your laptop and your phone. So honestly, this is something that I am a bit partial to, that particular tool. Now, here's a workflow example on, okay, so you have a voice note, or okay, you want to go through this voice note route because you are how do we call it now? You are a busy professional or a busy entrepreneur who doesn't have time to, write your book yourself. Okay, so here's an example. Here's a workflow example. 4 steps. Firstly, record your thoughts. I would advise that you break it into chapters, right? After you have given your book a structure, please remember that you need to have given your book a structure at this time. Record your thoughts. Whatever is supposed to be in it, I would advise that you break it down into chapters. So record it into chapters. So now you have 10 recordings for 10 chapters. Now you can upload it. The next step is to upload it into Otter.ai or Descript or something which I like to do, which is not exactly doesn't exactly fit into this workflow example, but you can also use Google Translate so that it can transcribe it. You can use Otter.ai or Descript, but what I like to do is to take my Google Translate, set it to English, right? Because to ask for what language you're translating from and what language you want to translate to. I like to do English to English, right? And then I, just start recording. Now, it might break at certain points, especially if it's not, getting your voice anymore if you stop. So it might not be advisable to people who want to pause and who are not trying to do it on the go. But the reason I like this is because it transcribes in real time. Like as I'm speaking, it is transcribing. But if you can, which is more advisable and more structured, I'll be fair. Google Translate is just something I am more partial to. I would advise that you use Otter.ai or Descript, that you would have recorded your thoughts into chapters. I really advise that you record your thoughts in chapters, right? Into chapters, and then you upload it and get it transcribed. Now you take your transcription and then you edit it lightly, make corrections, grammatical errors, remove filler words. Filler words are things like well, where they're not supposed to be, right? So basically edit it lightly, remove certain things, put full stops where they're supposed to be, and that will be your first draft. And then make sure that you separate them into chapter by chapter folders. And what do you know? You have a first draft of your manuscript to work with. Now, here are some professional tips. Firstly, you can use topic prompts when speaking, right? And your topic prompts can basically be the things that are on your sticky notes, just so that you know exactly what you want to say at each point in time, and you have a very good flow, and also so that you don't pause unnecessarily and you have something that is triggering your brain to produce the words that it needs to produce. Secondly, record in quiet places so that your transcription software is not getting the wrong noise or is not finding it difficult to hear exactly what you're saying, and also so that you can hear yourself. It's very important that you hear yourself. Lastly, name and tag your files for easy sorting. Title of the book, chapter 1.1, chapter 1.2, chapter this, chapter that, So basically, tag your files so that you know exactly where what is. All right. And now the second lesson, how to use AI tools to draft your content. Remember, we're talking about how to write without exactly having to write. Why use AI? Artificial intelligence is something that seems to have taken over the world, and many people are scared that it's going to replace humans, while many people are not. But that's not what this discussion is about. We're wondering, how do you get to write without writing because you're using artificial intelligence? Well, firstly, why should you use it? Firstly, it speeds up the writing process, makes it a lot faster. It helps you to organize your thoughts, and it works great with outlines or prompts, right? So if you're trying to generate content for your book and you want to use AI and you already have your outlines and you've already figured out what prompts to use, right? You just feed it to AI and AI will churn it out back for you. Remember that your thoughts, your idea is most likely original to you, right? And you're still going to edit this to fit exactly what your experiences have been. But working with artificial intelligence for writing is something that you have to be a bit careful about. It's very easy to make mistakes because it's not your thoughts. It's very easy to have imposter syndrome. There are a number of things that come with this, but it speeds up the writing process by quite a lot. Now, some of the best artificial intelligence tools to use are, number one, ChatGPT. It helps you brainstorm, and that's my favorite feature for ChatGPT, brainstorming and outlining. I love it for that. I love ChatGPT for that a lot. But also it can help you to rewrite content that you've written. It can help you to expand on certain topics or certain things that you're trying to talk about but you don't have enough content on. Now, the second example is Notion.ai, Notion AI, which is on the Notion app. It can help you to auto draft. It can help you to summarize content and can also help you to structure content. Lastly, we have the likes of Sudowrite, Jasper, and Claude, who are more inclined to helping you with creativity writing and helping you to adjust and fix the tone of your book. In case you're trying to write something that's a bit comical and you do not have a career in comedy, they'll be able to help you to fix the tone of what you're trying to whatever it is you're trying to communicate. How do you work with AI? Firstly, input your chapter outline or your voice transcript and let it do the rest of the work. You can also ask AI to help you create a rough first draft, which you will then take, edit, optimize, add your own stories, add your own experiences to. Another option is that you can use it for structures and ideas and language, not final editing. Lastly, and which is my own standing rule for working with AI, do not upload final versions of your book and do not upload your intellectual property on artificial intelligence, just to stay safe. If you feel like you can get away with it, if you feel like you're not bothered about safety, you can do this. You can even get ChatGPT to generate the entire book for you. People have done it and they most likely will continue to do so. Also, try as much as possible to keep it human. Yes, you've used artificial intelligence for support, but don't let it replace your voice. Let it be for support. Let it not be the main character in creating what you're trying to create. Don't let it replace your voice. Don't let it take your voice away. The book has to be unique to you. Secondly, to keep it human, always edit and personalize your work, which is what I said. Whenever AI gives you something, edit it, fix things, personalize it, add your own story, add your own experiences, add your own tips. And lastly, readers want your real insight. If they wanted a generic blog post, they would just go to Google. They want your real insight. They want to see your experience. They want to share your experiences. They want to learn from you, from your own life. Right? So please keep it human as much as possible. Even though you feel like you don't have enough time, this is key to getting it right with writing your book. Like I said, if readers want a generic blog post, they also have AI and they can go to Google easily. Now, the third lesson, hiring a virtual assistant or a ghostwriter the right way. You don't want to write yourself. Remember, we're talking about how to write without writing. We've talked about using AI, we've talked about using voice notes and transcription softwares, and now we're talking about virtual assistants and ghostwriters. Now, I have been a ghostwriter for so many people I have lost count, writing things for them that have a stamp of their name. But the truth is, it has never been my intellectual property. All their ideas, their concepts, their instructions, never my intellectual property. I didn't think it up myself. It was their intellectual property. Those books are never going to be my books. I just helped them write it. And it's nobody's business. And nobody's ever going to know who I wrote what for and why. I'm going to show you how. Why does it work? Firstly, it saves you time if you're too busy to write. Like I said, your idea is very unique to you. Nobody can take that away from you. It saves you time if you're too busy to write. Secondly, you can focus on speaking and they can focus on writing. You can basically make those voice notes that I talked about earlier, and instead of feeding into transcription softwares or to AI, you can send it to a virtual assistant. I would prefer that because they would humanize it. They would help restructure your words, or a ghostwriter would also help restructure your words to a way where it's easy to communicate whatever it is you're trying to say. They would not type in filler words. They would make it a lot better, basically. They would edit, they'll do a lot of things. And also, it can be quite affordable and efficient if you set it up the right way. Getting a ghostwriter or a virtual assistant, which you probably even already have, is affordable, right? As compared to the amount of time you would have to spend getting it done yourself, or the amount that you might have to pay some transcription softwares for subscription, right? So it can be affordable and can also be efficient. Very efficient. I think it's even one of the most efficient ways of writing without writing if you set it up the right way. If you're looking for virtual assistants or ghostwriters and you're confused about what to trust, please feel free to reach out to me and I should be able to send you in the right direction. Now, who does what? Virtual assistants are able to help you organize, transcribe, format, and edit. Or they could do any of this and they could do all of it in one go. So they could organize your structure for you, they could transcribe your voice notes for you, they could format the book when they are done, and they could do edits too. A ghostwriter just writes in your voice using your idea. So you tell them, this is what you're trying to do, this is the structure, and they start to write. Some of them are happy to work with voice notes. Some of them, you just have to give them a structure to work with, and they'll develop it for you. They will ask you certain questions on what you're trying to achieve, and that's about it. They'll churn your book out for you. You get to tell them what feedback you have and they get to make the corrections. Oh, what do you do now? Well, you get to manage the process. You get to oversee. You, remember, are the owner of the idea and your idea is forever going to be your intellectual property. And we're going to talk about how to protect your intellectual property in a bit. Now, where can you find ghostwriters and virtual assistants? Like I said, if you need any, you feel free, and you're confused or you feel unsafe about who to reach out to, feel free to reach out to me. I should be able to connect to some good people. But where you can find them on Upwork, you can find them on Fiverr, you can find them on TopTal. You can also find them on Facebook groups and writing communities, and you can get referrals from people who are published like myself. I will refer you to people who can write your book for you, so you can get referrals. Must-haves when you're working with virtual assistants and ghostwriters. You must have an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, that gets them to keep that helps you to protect your intellectual property. It helps you to protect them from claiming ownership of the book at any time. So there has to be a writing agreement or an NDA, which is why I can't ever tell anybody, because of the amount of NDAs I've signed. And I used to even be the one to tell my clients, we need to sign an NDA. Because of the number of NDAs I've signed, I had to tell I cannot tell you who I've written for, when I wrote for them, why I wrote for them, what they wrote, and no one can ever have access to that information, right? You must also have a clear outline when you're working with a ghostwriter or a virtual assistant, or at least have audio material that they can work with. You must also check in regularly to maintain your voice, checking on what they've written, checking on how it's going, checking with them frequently to ensure that, firstly, they're not making negative progress, to ensure that they sound like you, to ensure that the book is being written the way you want it to be written, in the tone you want it to be written, the kind of words you want it to be written in. And lastly, you must have a payment structure and deadline that you've agreed to in advance before the work starts. So payment structure on, okay, I'm going to pay you at this point, I'm going to pay you at this point, I'm going to pay you at the end of the job, and deadlines as regards, okay, so we're going to be done with this in 4 weeks. agree to that in advance and let it be. All right, so these are things that you must have when you're working with a virtual assistant or a ghostwriter. Now, the fourth lesson in this model is writing without writing, but writing 15 minutes a day. It's a daily habit that works. Now, writing without writing, I've given you options or giving you ideas on how to write without you having to lift much of a finger. But in this particular lesson, we're going to be talking about how you can lift a finger, but lift a structured finger. Lift a tiny finger every little time. Just tap, 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 tap until you're able to, make tiny drops become an ocean. Why daily writing matters? Firstly, momentum beats motivation. You might be motivated, but if you have no momentum, you're not going to achieve anything. 15 minutes daily is 1 or 2 pages of writing, right? You get to achieve quite a number of words. Well, it also depends on the font you're writing in. But if you commit 15 minutes to writing every day, you would be able to create 1 to 2 pages of your book. You should be able to create 1 to 2 pages of your book. Or let's just say 1 page. Imagine that every day you write a page. And you write a page, you do 15 minutes daily for 30 days. Before you know it, you've got 30 pages. That's great progress. Also, it increases over time because as you do this every day, as you show up for this every day, you get to build your writing confidence and clarity. Let me go back to 15 minutes daily. Now, some people will do 15 minutes daily and they might only be able to come up with a few paragraphs. Remember, momentum beats motivation. You just keep at it and it keeps getting better time over time. But the truth is, the fact that you're making progress every day, no matter how little, is the most important part of this concept. Now, the 15 minutes writing ritual, this is what you need to do this. Try it out and see if it works for you. 15 minutes every day, you sit down, you set a timer, you pick a prompt in your from your board if you're working with the sticky notes method, or a chapter chunk, or you pick up the book, you pick up the manuscript, and you just start writing. No editing, just writing. You save it and you move on with the rest of your day. You come back the next day and you rinse and repeat. Now, when and where can you write that would be very effective? Firstly, you can write as a part of your morning routine. So you're waking up in the morning, you're getting a cup of coffee, you're supposed to start preparing for work. But before all of that craziness, you take 15 minutes, you set a timer, you sit down, you pick a prompt and you start writing. Also, if you're someone who deals very well with chaos and noise when you're trying to get stuff done, you can write during your commute or during your break times at work, right? And especially if you're on the move, you can write on your phone, on your tablet, or on a notebook. If you are writing from home, it's convenient to write on your laptop, all well and good. But you can use a phone, a tablet, or a notebook. Just make sure that you keep writing in the same place. So if you're going to start with your phone, continue with that file on your phone. If you're going to start on a notebook and pen, continue with writing on that notebook. Here are some success tips you can keep in mind. Use the same tool and location daily. So if you're going to always write while you're in commute, write in commute. If you're going to always write on your phone, write on your phone. Also, track your word count of progress. Every day you're making progress. Celebrate it. Celebrate your small wins. In one day you wrote 100 words. Amazing. Yes, you did it. You've done better than yesterday. Even if you wrote 200 words yesterday, and 100 extra words is a plus. So yes, you've done better than what you had yesterday. Now we're moving to, that's the end of module 4, and we're moving to module 5 where we're talking about building habits and motivation. I will see you in the next video.